Mm. What's happening? How's it going? It's good to see you. Good to be here. Uh-oh. What we got here, old double echo? Never a good thing. You never want that. No doubt. It's good to see you guys. Yeah. What are we at here? It's almost. It is almost New Year's Eve. Well, for a lot of you, it is. For me, not yet. Not yet, but soon. And just as surely as the clock ticks, we will be into a new year shortly. And gone like the snow of yesteryears will be 2021. And we will embark on a whole new set of adventures, and we'll meet new people, new experiences, and a lot of the same people will stay in our lives, and then we will reassess. Just in general, we will reassess everything at the beginning of the year. We all take inventory. And we take inventory to see where we stand in life. And hopefully we become better people. Yeah. Progress, not regress. Something that I've always tried, but I don't always succeed. And when I try to look at my life overall and see how I'm doing, and it's something that I've always taken with a certain seriousness to make goals for myself. And but the new year is kind of the new year is really, obviously it's a good benchmark. You kind of go, well, everything's new. You get new calendars. Really, actually, all that's really new is the calendars. I say everything's new, but you feel like it's new, and we all say things like "New Year, New Me." New year, new me. But if you like yourself, I don't think that you need a new you. I think we can have better versions of ourselves. But very rarely do people need complete overall overhauls. Very rarely do people need everything scrapped from their life. Very rarely do people need to reevaluate every single aspect of their life. It's not always necessary, but it is necessary to take inventory. You take inventory of your life and you think, well, let's see, what could make my life better? What is making my life not as good as it could be? Am I spending too much time here? Am I spending too much time there? Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would end up in the middle of a case involving an active case involving a child. That I've never had anything like this happen. This isn't my goal. I don't cover missing children. Not exactly my thing. Active missing children, it's not something that I do. And I think it's all part of it's all part of our journey. You know, we end up in these different little, streams. I don't know. And we kind of get flown down the river of this. And so, and it is interesting, I I see that, that there are people, coming in and saying things, and it's okay. Look, I reflect about everything. I reflect about I reflect about all but it's really funny that um there are these people who, like to crucify everybody. But that's okay. I'm an adult. I can handle that. And that's another thing. Part of being in the public eye, and when I say public eye, the people that come watch or listen, and once again, I'm not new. I'm new to YouTube, sorta, I guess now. Um 5 months, 6 months at the most, live streaming, but I'm not new to live streaming or broadcasting or doing podcast or anything like that. I'm not new to that. And I'm also not new to criticism or, backlash. And I think that it is totally acceptable for people to feel how they want to feel. I think the way that people voice it now is it's so much different because everybody has a voice, but not everybody's heard. Everybody's got a voice, but can we cut through the noise? Can we cut through the noise? And I don't know. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But everybody's got a voice, but is everybody heard? And I, along with some other people, are fortunate enough to have a voice, fortunate enough to be heard, fortunate enough to be in somewhat of a position to be able to give either advice, comfort, entertainment to people. That's a big deal. And it's not something that I take lightly, and it's not something that I neglect. It doesn't fall deaf on me. I think that if people were to know me personally, that you know, I would know that necessarily that these comments or the way that people sort of look at me, some people just don't like my personality. Some people just don't like your personality. That's okay. They don't necessarily need to. But I can tell you that never in my life, and never will I, have I went and left, such a comment to somebody that I didn't like. And in the chat, somebody says, Josh, in my opinion, you just try to get along with just about everyone and be the voice of reason. Well, what is it that, like, who do I need to get along with? That's really what I sometimes wonder is who am I fighting with and why? What do I need to fight with these people about? What do they need to fight with me about? We don't see each other at the grocery store. We're not going to PTA meetings together. Our kids don't play little league. I'm not coaching their kid. We have different of opinions, and we have different opinions on the way the world works and the way that people treat other people, or the way that certain people cover certain cases. That's our beef. And if that's all we got to argue about, then I have no problem with anybody. And most of this is feckless. I have relationships with people on here, on just in general, where you think that maybe you're being good and helpful and going back and forth with helping people. And that's okay. And I've already addressed what went on, and it's it is what it is. It was an unfortunate event. I mean, I'm not going to try and lose sleep over it. I do think it just, if I could control everybody, I think I would appreciate the world more from my point of view, but you wouldn't appreciate it more from your point of view if the world ran the way I thought the world should run. I control me and my family. When I say I control them, my children, until they are a certain age. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And I did one of the things that I guess I kind of do regret is that I brought up, I said, "You look, I lost a sponsor." Well, yeah, that happens. It's not a monetary issue. And, it's not the first time that I've ever been dropped by a sponsor. They can drop you at any time. They can, hey, we don't, unless you have some sort of long-term contract, and if you breach that contract, they cut you off. But most of them are just kind of pop, pop, pop. They're just little things to help. Uh, Not that way, the burden of I've always enjoyed sponsors for the reason of I don't like it's a way for me to mutually benefit from stuff that I do where the listener doesn't have to be responsible, for every single thing. And that's why sponsors are important to me, because it takes a lot of the burden off of others. I'm not really into like the tchotchke stuff. I'm not really trying to get people coming and going. And it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. But if people can't understand that there is a professional aspect to this, to having to conduct myself in a certain fashion, well, that's what I have to do. Um, this is a job, not necessarily this. This is broadcasting will always be my career. This is just probably a pit stop, I would think, on my way to doing other things, and that's my goal in life. I like I said, I ended up here by accident. I'm okay with it. I have no problem with that. And so as I kind of navigate through where I'm trying to get in my life professionally, between the media company that I have and that I've been working with, it's been a blessing, and people have made it a blessing, and I'm working with some fantastic people behind the scenes. Most people don't even really understand or know what it is that I actually do, besides what you see. And I'm telling you, in 2022, this is when, this is me making my move. I am now in a position to be able to freelance and work on documentaries, on interviews, on whatever I want. While I entertain other job offers, and at some point I will find a landing spot, and that's where I'll be. But there is a professional aspect to this. This isn't the Wild West for me. This is not the Wild West. Not to me, it's not. And so look, we move forward. We move forward. There's things that people don't like about me, and that's totally acceptable. There's things that I don't like about people. But if we all got along and we all acted the same, life would be boring. It's just not how everybody's programmed differently. Brains are different. You know, brains are brains are different, and they work different. My entire life has been me trying to navigate through dark and troubled waters. But then, at some point, and I want to be very clear about this, of course, I had a lot of trauma growing up as a child, but you know what? I also had a lot of fun. I've also made the most out of my life. I think that I'm trying to muster the most out of it. I'm trying to squeeze every little drop out of it. Whatever whatever little talent I've ever been given, whatever little bit of insight I have, I never ever stop trying to learn. I never stop trying to know what's better for me and my family. I never stop trying to just get better. And I get it. It doesn't always work. I say that we got to do better. I got to do better, and I've got to do better. But at the same time, I accept the things that I've been. I take my responsibility for anything that I need to take responsibility for. I just that's just you got to put your name on it. You got to stamp it. You got to sign it, and I do. Jen Hoffa says it's about progress, not perfection. It's about wanting to be better. I'm never going to be um, some saint, some beautiful, magnificent speaker. Never going to be, some Dalai Lama on that level of anything. But what I can do is try to tell you what I think from my perspective. Just from my perspective. And it's up to you if you want to listen to that or not. No, you don't have to. Nobody's making you. But there's so many teachable moments in life, and we can't really pass them up because I'm telling you, I'm trying to warn people about something. And it's about time. And I'm telling you, you got to listen. Life is really long when you're a little kid. But we're not little kids. Not the people that are here. Not the people that are here. We're not kids. And life is no longer that long. I mean, if you think about it, in the grand scheme of time, we are nothing more than a wrinkle. Even if that, we're a blip on the screen of eternity. But that's why we have to try to squeeze every little bit out of it that we can. And to do the right thing. I get that the human condition wants us to be outrageous, say things that get the attention. But I'm telling you guys, like what we have to do is we have to enjoy our lives, our families. And we can't get caught up in the fecklessness of this. You got to tell your children that you love them. It's your family is what matters. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. You know, and I'll say this, and I don't want anybody to get upset because somebody left me a comment that said that the way that I handled a certain situation, that I should be embarrassed, and hopefully that my kids grow up to be the exact opposite of me. And usually, when you bring kids into it, that's kind of where I draw the line. But I will tell you this right now, and I'm very proud to say this, and I will say it with the utmost authority that I absolutely can. I I will say this the with the most assertiveness that I can. I have done nothing in my life to for my children to be ashamed of who I am and to the people or people that bring up my children, if you want to know about how my children feel about me, I can tell you right now that they adore me and I adore them. And I am proud of them and they are proud of me. And I'm their hero. I'm the one that matters to them in life. They want my attention and my opinion, my love, my respect. And I want all the same things from them. I teach my children every single chance I get, whether they like it or not, whether they roll their eyes or not. I'm slow to anger, not by choice, but, well, actually by choice. Not necessarily programmed that way, but it takes a lot. And I don't think that the person that left that comment was probably a very happy person, and I'm not even mad about it. And once again, that's okay. At the end of the day, I am the one that needs to be happy with the way that I'm raising my children. And same goes for you and your family. And I can tell you right now that my family uh, loves me. I'm the center of my family. I take care of my family and they take care of me. We all take care of each other. We all take care of each other. I know who I am, and I'm just as comfortable as I am with who I am. There are things that I can do much better. There's things that I can say that would be better representation of who I am. My children are my biggest investment in my life. And it has been the greatest honor of my life to raise them. And I don't think for a second that any of us can uh, take on the world alone. Why would you want to, you know? I can only be responsible for myself and my house and my family. I can only be responsible for who I am and what I'm doing, but I'm also responsible for who I align myself with and who I stand shoulder to shoulder with and who I can look in the eye of a person that I like or love, and I want them to listen to my opinion and take it or leave it. But at least listen. That's it. And people can come at me with sticks and stones, and just the same way they can with you. And they could try to ruin your day, your week, your month, or your year. And nothing would please them more. But we must learn, and I must learn, and I am learning, and I think I do a decent job of this, but we must compartmentalize. It's not enough to just separate yourself from the bad while insulating your family, but you got to actively try to spread the good, because we don't have a lot of time. I don't, you don't. I watched this thing the other day. It was called the last lecture. It was a man who had somewhere around 12 tumors in his liver, and they told him he had 3 to 6 months to live. And I remember, when he started it, I had heard of his book before, and I had never listened to the lecture, and I listened, and what he basically was saying was that everybody knew that he was sick, and he turned out these really, really, really big crowds. It turned out these really, really big crowds. And what he would do was give, this awesome lecture. And when he would do that, people knew that he was sick. People knew that he was sick. And I remember him saying, one of the coolest things he said was, when there's an elephant in the room, introduce the elephant. And it's the first thing he talked about was how he had 3 to 6 months left to live. And that he was at the time in relatively good health, but the next few months were going to be awful for him. He knew that. And he had moved his family somewhere specific because he said it would be better for them in the future, knowing very well that the future didn't involve him, but it involved his family. The immediate future didn't involve this man, but he acted as though he did, as it did. He didn't. He wasn't pretending, and he even made it very clear. I'm not in denial. I'm not this or that. And this man gave a speech which probably took a lot out of him. And I was, I started kind of pondering the whole message, and I remember thinking, you know what? This man is dying, and he's not going to make it. 3 to 6 months is what he said. I'm not exactly sure how long he made it. But I'll tell you this, he had planned for the future, a future that he wasn't going to be a part of. And I would think, well, really, what's the difference between me and him? Well, he's just got a date. He's got a time frame. We're all headed to the same place. Eventually, we just haven't, most of us haven't been told. That's it. But the same place he's going, I'm going, you're going, and it's just a matter of what order that is. Some go before others and others after, and but the thing is that while you're here, that's what matters, because it can live on. For years, generations, I have locked away probably 20 or 30 different shows that I had done when I first started. And my children have them on zip files. They're for them. They're no longer public. They're just low quality and things like that. But maybe after I'm gone that they'll listen to them. And my words maybe at some point can live on, and maybe my great grandchildren could hear them someday, or great great grandchildren. So I got to do what's right now. That's what matters, because my kids have to live under my name forever, and their kids and their kids. And I don't want that to be a bad thing. I want to be proud of that. I want to be proud of what I've done with my work, whatever it is. I want to be able to be proud. I don't care particularly what random people think that have a diluted vision of the earth, of what life was going to be. It has to align with what I feel is necessary, and it has to do with what I feel is right. My morals are my morals, and your morals are your morals. And hopefully they somewhat overlap, because we all know right is right, wrong is wrong. And you can tiptoe around it if you want, but that's where you really start to get in trouble. But right and wrong is pretty black and white. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And just because somebody does something wrong, no matter how wrong it may be, depending on what it may be, people get second chances. the thing about the freedom of having choices is that you're going to make mistakes. Because you're not always going to make those right choices. Think about this. If a little kid for his birthday, or say he's at a birthday party, and they say, well, here's your piece of cake, and they don't want to use a fork because obviously the reason that you use a fork is because you want to keep your hands clean. Eating with your hands isn't always, it's not always the best option depending on what you're eating. And so when you put the child there and they refuse to want to use the fork, but yet they use their hands and and you say, if you're not going to use that fork, that's on you, bud. Okay. That's your decision. And I'm going to let you make that decision. And it's a decision that some kids make, and some kids make the right choice and some kids make the wrong choice. And when they make the wrong choice, what happens? Well, they get cake everywhere, all over them. And then they want your help. I'm dirty. And you can look them in the face and say, hey, you made that decision. Now you're going to have to live with it. And when the next time comes up, when the cake comes up again for the child, hopefully next time, after they've learned that if you don't use a fork with birthday cake, it's going to get everywhere. Well, hopefully they use the fork. And hopefully they've learned a lesson. Because as little of a lesson as that is, and even though the consequences of what that little child just did aren't drastic, they're not life threatening, but it teaches them a lesson. And lessons are what life is all about. Learning as we go. When we don't learn from our mistakes, they're no longer mistakes. They're behavior, they're pattern. We've come to accept these things. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We can't expect a different result. I mean, it's just you can't eat the cake without a fork and get mad every time when your hands get dirty. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. And there are moments in life where we think that this is a turning point, or but look, there's so many turning points in life. There's so many chances for you to right your wrongs. There are so many chances for you to learn. There's so many chances for us to make up for the things that we've done and put them behind us. And yet, most of the population can't seem to get out of their own way. And I've been right there in many different situations. And as for my future on YouTube, who and who I will not be hosting or co hosting with, I have no news for you. That's not important right now. That's not important for me right now. But what is important is that we all take inventory of ourselves, especially me. I have to look at myself because I got to go answer to my family. And I don't need the response that you want from them. I want the response that I'm going for. I got to look my people in the face and say, you know what? I'm doing this for you and me. And I got to be able to look myself in the eyes with a mirror, obviously, and be okay with who I am, which isn't always easy. I've been ashamed of things that I've done. I've always felt a certain way about respect and wanting to give respect and be respected and show respect and show love. I, man, I'm telling you, I'm not some, I'm not some hotshot YouTuber or podcaster. The last podcast that I had was a top 20 podcast for 2 years. It did great. I get a fraction of the streams on here, and it's coming back. But a lot of it was fruitless. I enjoyed it monetarily. It was nice. It was fantastic. And I accomplished so much and set myself up so much uh, in so much of a better position. And I was proud of it, and I am proud of it. But I got to tell you, I also showed love to up and comers. I helped other people with their shows. I taught people the things that I had to learn on my own through countless hours of trial and error. And I show love, and I don't always get the same out of people. I don't It's not always reciprocated. It's what can I get? But at the same time, I want you would be surprised if I were to tell you exactly what it is that I'm always constantly either working on or who I'm working on stuff with or for. None of that is important to me because it's what I do. It's what I've always done. It's what I'm always going to do, whether or not I'm doing live shows or whatever. That doesn't matter. But like I I love the fact that I could bring people on to a show that I did, and especially when we were streaming exclusively with Spotify, I could get somebody on that was selling a book, and I could quadruple their book sales in a day. And I loved that I was able to be able to do that for those people who, like I said, everybody has a voice, but not everybody's heard. Some of us are better than others at talking, getting our points across, people wanting to listen. Some of us are just better at it than others, but I can't write a book the same way this person can, just like that person can't do what I'm doing. And so I say, you know what? I have a podcast. Why don't you come on and promote that book? Because more people need to hear about it. Because it's an amazing book. And so I've always loved to be able to do that for somebody, to be able to bless them with maybe some exposure that they haven't had that they deserve. And the only reason I'm ever able to do that is because that sometimes when I speak, some people like to listen. Some people, most don't, but some people do. And for the people that do, it's my way of sharing with you the things that I appreciate. Because if you enjoy my point of view or my perspective at all in any way, shape, or form, well, not everybody has a big platform as, say, I do. I certainly don't have the biggest platform by any stretch of the imagination, but I can build them up. I've done it. I could do it again. because I don't mind. I love to do that. And the whole time I want to show as much love as I can to people. Because I think that there are so many other people out there that are so much more incredible than I am. They are so much more talented than I am. They just don't have this kind or that kind of audience or uh I remember when my first video on YouTube hit like 200,000. I was like, wow. I did 200,000 a week on Spotify. And everybody say YouTube is so hard. It's such a tough place. And it is. It definitely is. We make it that way, but it is. Like hyenas on each other. So, I go from, audio podcasting to wanting to give a shot on YouTube, which is obviously how I ended up in the quote unquote true crime community, quote unquote true crime community, which I don't even consider. I guess it is. I guess that's what I am. I guess that's what I've been doing. But that's not who I am. That's not what I do. It's not necessarily my calling. I don't know what it is. I just fell out of the sky here. But it's a journey, and this is a stop along the way. Life is an evolution, and every day we're something is changing in us, whether it be for the good, whether it be for the bad, whether it be for who knows. It's just things change as you walk around all the time. Your body shrinks, your back compresses, you kind of just settle in like a meatloaf does, I guess. You just settle right in. That's the funny part is that I always found it kind of ironic that you come into the world kind of helpless, and if you live long enough you leave the world helpless. If you get old enough you can't really do anything, but then there's this in between part where we take our health for granted. We take our we take our family for granted. I was put in the unique position of where I never wanted to. I don't like leaving on bad terms with anybody, because what if, how many times have you heard the story? We had a fight that day and that was the last time I ever saw them. That happens a lot. I've heard that so many times. Too many times, really. It's scary. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to I don't want to be one of those people that regrets. Regret is one of the worst things that you can have. You don't want to regret those things. Yeah, I was upset with my son about something at one point, and when I say upset, I was just kind of annoyed with him. I was taking him he wanted to go to the gym, and it was a quiet car ride, and he knew that I wasn't very happy with him, and I could just imagine myself dropping him off and just taking off. I was so annoyed with him at that point, and but no, it is. I love you, son. I'll see you shortly. I'll be here to pick you up. But I was definitely annoyed with him enough not to say a word. But I just that's not I'm not going to do that to anybody. And that to me is important. It's important for me to think for the future. It's important for me to think about what if. When I turned 23 years old, my mother died when she was 23. When I turned 23 years old, I spent a week wondering, well, more than a week, but it was really tough that week. Uh, I was kept thinking, could I imagine not being here at this age? At 23 years old. 23. Two kids, life taken. And I remember when that time came and I said, how does your life end at 23? How's it a perfectly healthy person, you know? Nothing wrong with her. And I spent a lot of time just thinking, why why did I get to make it to this age? Who gets to choose? Who picks and chooses? It was tough to think about that. I used to just really let that get to me. Like I did something wrong. Who gets to decide? I didn't think for a second that I personally deserved any more life than anybody else. What I thought was, oh, well, I kind of just, I'm luck. I lucked out. It was just luck. You don't know at the time that you're living with somebody that's capable, being raised by somebody that's capable of doing the things that were done. You don't think that until you get older and then you go, my God. That was my early years. That was what I was molded into. Look, man, I'm telling you right now, and I don't say this because the everybody that supports me and that says the nice things, it means so much to me. But the people that don't like me on here, you think I really, honestly, truly, deep down in my soul, let it bother me that you don't approve of the way that I am? Because it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when people eat each other alive. That's what bothers me. The the opinion of somebody that is inconsequential to my life, who only has or wants to say negative things to me. Well, look, I've witnessed stuff that most people don't survive. I've witnessed the worst betrayals a human could endure. And I don't say that for sympathy. I say that to let you know how strong I actually am. And I don't think that people really, truly do understand what that does to you. I can get through anything. And I mean everything. And I can handle any situation at any time that I need to. And I'm not scared of anybody because I spent my whole childhood being scared. Do you know what it's like to beg somebody to check the locks, to make sure your dad's not coming back, to finish the job? You do that for years and years. And finally, one day you say, you know what? I'm not scared of anybody. And I'm definitely not scared of you. This doesn't bother me. It doesn't shake me up. And I'm telling you right now, don't mistake my kind demeanor, because I can be an absolute terror if I need to. And you better believe it, because I've done it, and I'll do it, and I'll scratch and claw. I'm telling you, it's just you don't. I'm not the one. I hear old dummy face saying, he said today, yeah, you're not built for this. The reason I'm not built for this is because I want to build other things. But if I wanted to, I could dedicate my entire existence to coming at your helmet. And trust me, it's not what you want. When I go, I don't stop. I just don't. But I want better than that. I want better than that, because I'm built for anything. some loser who shoots me an email trying to mock me is one of the most laughable things. Because I truly get along with my day and I go, oh, that was fun. I don't care. I truly don't. I don't care about the opinions of people I deem not worthy to have an opinion for my life. I don't care. And you shouldn't either. Don't surround yourself with people who want to be around you. Surround yourself with people who want you to do better, that actually support you as a human. As a human, you have to have compassion. And most everybody that is here, that is listening, that is positive in the chat and the comments, that watch this on the replay, shout out to the replay team. They're the kind of people that I like. You guys are my kind of people. That's the cool part about this, is that you strive for the same things that I do. And you can tell who wants what by where they hang. I don't think for a second that I'm some great philosopher. I'm not. I'm definitely not. But what I do have is a unique experience in life that 99% of the world doesn't have. And I didn't ask for that. It just was bestowed upon me. You don't get to choose the hand you're dealt, only the way that you play them, as the old saying goes. And that's why I am sympathetic to certain people and certain things, and knowing that possibly maybe I can make a difference if I wanted to. Because I'll tell you what, life is so freaking hard. It is so freaking hard that we all need help through it. We all need help. Do you think that I only get my advice from me? God, no. I seek out the advice of people that I respect personally, that I aspire to be like, or they align with the morals that I have. Those are the people that I take advice from. And I can tell you one thing, they are always older than I am. Always. Substantially. the same way that I teach my kids because of the experience that I have. I've been there, done that. There is always somebody who knows more, who could teach us more. And that's where I feel that we could learn together. Because don't think that these people that I seek out advice for don't seek my advice. Trade secrets. That's what we do. To hear somebody else's experience is something that it is amazing because you can hear it firsthand from somebody without actually having to live it. And most of the time, the things that people tell me that have happened to them, I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to know that kind of pain. And if there's something that you can tell me that how that happens to give me insight on how to avoid it, it's like an 85-year-old smoker with emphysema. What are they going to tell you? Don't smoke. Don't smoke. That's what they tell you. Why? Well, they lived they're obviously saying that it's not worth it. I'm not, this isn't particularly an anti-smoking rant, but what I'm saying is that they lived it. They lived it. How many of your parents said, I want better for you than what I had? I want you to do better. How many people want their kids to do better than them? Hopefully, all. I do. Well, how do they get there? Well, by you sharing your life experiences with them. There's a reason that kids have parents and that they are older and have some more life experience than the little person that's just brought into the world. You are gifted the experience of life before this fresh, I guess you would just call it a blank slate. And so if you do things the right way, you tell them, please don't make the same mistakes I did. How many parents have said that? How many of your parents have said that to you? How many of you have said that to your children? I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. Well, there's a reason for that. And what's the reason? Because we've already experienced it. And that's why I seek out the advice of people who have more life experience than I do. But I tell you this, and I do truly mean it. I have quite a bit, packed quite a bit in to the time that I've been here. A lot, actually. For the good, for the bad, whatever. It is what it is. It's the way that my life has went. But guess what? I like to talk. I like to give advice if I think that I can help. Some people don't want my advice, and that is perfectly fine. I understand. I may not want it myself, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I've never been one to hold my tongue. And yesterday I ended up in a situation that I reacted in or didn't react in. And some people didn't feel that I handled it correctly. And some people thought that I handled it correctly. And that's just the way life works. You take it for what it is. Would I do it different? I don't know. Maybe. Depends. Will I ever be in a position like that again in the future with somebody else? Probably. Probably. And I think that maybe and I think that maybe that the criticism that I have gotten, I try to look at it from people's perspective, and it's totally, like I said, I don't have a problem with criticism. I don't have a problem with people saying, well, you should have done it this way, you should have done it that way. But I do apologize for not being perfect. And I also do apologize for not handling it in the way that some people felt that I personally should have handled it. That's okay. Totally okay. And this won't be the last time that I receive criticism for something that I've done or didn't do, or, it's just how this kind of gig goes. We open ourselves up to this kind of stuff. It's just part of the game. It's part of the process. It's part of life. Criticism, especially when you're vocal, when you have a voice. When you sit up in front of hundreds, if not thousands, of people, where tens of thousands end up hearing your voice, you're gonna get criticism. That just happens. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. Never. But what would bother me is if I was in a situation that I didn't feel that I handled as well as I should have. And I'm not even at that point yet. I'm not sure. I've still just been pondering. I've been just thinking, I've just been thinking, not obsessing, not fretting, but just thinking. What would I do again in retrospect? And I do that a lot in a lot of different situations. I should have said this here. I should have did that there. I, you know, this or that, this or that. But I tell you what I don't do is take advice from the overly reactionary peanut gallery of YouTube who only wants to criticize and not lift up. But I definitely, as the person that I am, I do like to think and process things that have happened. It's kind of the 24-hour rule. I try to give it, let's give it a night and then we can talk about it. Overly reactionary situations lead to some of the worst. It just makes everything worse. And I think, I like to process. I like to think about things. I like to, a lot of times I get asked questions by a lot of different people, just a lot of different random, a lot of different questions. Some I feel comfortable answering, and some questions I just have to flat out tell people, I don't know. I don't always know. And I have no problem saying I don't know. Sometimes I just don't. There are things that I don't know about. There are things that I don't have an opinion about. And there's times where I think that a lot of the times I say I don't know that answer, but let me see if I can set you up with somebody who does. Let me see if I know somebody that might know because I don't. And that's what I try to do. And I get that sometimes I get on here and I act goofy and I tell jokes and I try to be funny and I try to entertain and I try to do this and I try to do that. But, I'm a pretty serious person most of the time. Most of the time, I don't know. Most of the time, I am. Try to be. And I like to um, laugh. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like to. I do. I love to laugh. And sometimes when I start, I can't stop because I just love finding the humor in things. I'm sure some of it is a coping mechanism. And I'm sure that some of it is just me just laughing at how asinine life is. And when I people watch, I just go, can you believe? I remember this one time I watched a guy, and I don't even know if he was homeless or not. It's hard to say. Really, I'm not even sure. But I watched him eat a burrito off the top of a dumpster, one of the big like dumpsters. He was at this taco truck and He looked like he was homeless on the weekends, or just like maybe he was only like 40, I say 47, 43% homeless. And I watched him eat a burrito off a dumpster. I mean, he just spread everything out. It had the metal. It was just a big commercial dumpster. And I sat there and I go, and I tell my friend, I said, "Hey, come here." We're looking out the window. I said, "That guy is eating a burrito off the dumpster. He's using the dumpster as a table." He says, "Is he homeless?" I said, "I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so." And he said that, I mean, and I'm telling you, he was like, he didn't even, the craziest part was he didn't even actually use the tin foil that comes with the burrito as something to put over. But I'm telling you, I had been over by that trash, and it smelled obviously like trash. And I mean, he was like, he acted like it was a park bench. like like it was I don't know. I've never seen anything quite like it, but I've also, it made me laugh because that guy, I don't know what it was. He just obviously, come to find out, I don't know if he was homeless, but he wasn't carless. I guess if you have a car, I'd say, like I said, 46 to 47% homeless, maybe 45%. But he's just, his car wasn't even that bad. And well, look, he had a car. He could have went and sat in his car and ate, but he chose to eat on the dumpster. Which I don't know how one would do that, but he did it, and he did it with relative ease. And I was actually very, very, very impressed and disgusted, and it made me laugh probably for an entire day. Uh, you know, one time I saw a guy riding a bike down the street with it wasn't a full size refrigerator, but it wasn't like a mini refrigerator, but he had a refrigerator on his back tied around. It was unbelievable. And I probably laughed for a good, I don't know, 2 hours about that. There was another time. This is something. So I had one of my employees at the time. He's actually been on my podcast before. His name's Ernesto, and I I sent him across the street because I would typically, sometimes I would send somebody out for coffee. I'd send an employee out to go get coffee or something. And he said he was going across the street. And I said, "Well, you pick some milk up, like a little carton of milk." And he says, "Yeah." Well, you got to understand that this guy was very hippie-ish. He was at the time, I don't know, I don't think he is anymore, but at the time he was a vegan, and so much of a vegan that I remember he ate a chocolate chip cookie and he started sweating because of it. And he said it was because of the milk or something. I don't know. But anyway, I sent him across the street at the time, and there was a health food store just across the street. And he comes back and he hands me milk in, looks to be like a pirate ship bottle. That's what it looked like to me. It's like a pirate ship bottle. It was weird. I went to take a drink and I was like, looking, I go, this is weird milk. And I took a drink of the milk and it was, I don't know if you've ever had cream top milk, but it was cream top milk. And cream top milk is exactly what you would expect it to be. There's cream at the top. It's like almost like flan. It's disgusting. And I didn't know that. And this at the very top, and this flan like object fell. It was in my mouth, and I went. I thought at first that I was drinking curdled milk, and I wasn't. And so I was like, oh, oh, and I remember going like, what, almost kind of dry heaving, going, what the hell is this? Oh. And I spit the cream top right back into the the jug, and I capped it and threw it in the trash. Because I thought I was, and then I said, what the hell was that? And he says, I don't know. It's just the milk that they sell over there. And I picked it up and I go, cream top milk. What the hell is cream top milk? I never had cream top milk in my life. I didn't know there was such a thing. No clue. And I'm not kidding you. The very next day, there was this employee. I wasn't there. It was like a Saturday, but somebody called me and they didn't empty the garbage. And this person comes up and he's kind of looking around, like, just kind of, like kind of one of those like weird people who gets into everything that doesn't belong to them, but they're just kind of like looking. This guy was like a polyamorous type fella. He made it very aware that, he lived a different life than us. And he had that like that weird BO, because like he used crystals on his armpits or something. And he's like comes up and he's looking around, and apparently he goes, well, what's that? And he sees like this whole thing of milk that was from overnight. And he picks it up out of the trash and he goes, well, this milk's full. And somebody goes, yeah, that was Josh's. He threw it away. And this guy takes a sip of it and goes, oh, this stuff's still good. The same cream top milk that the top had fallen into my mouth, and I swooshed it around for a second and shot it right back in there like a rocket. This dude was like, oh, no problem, man. This milk had been out overnight in a garbage can. I had taken a drink of it. I know. I'm sorry. I just couldn't believe. So somebody calls me and they go, dude, you have no clue what just happened. And they tell me, and I said, there's not a chance in hell. You're joking. And he goes, I wish that I could make something like that up, but I watched it. Couple weeks later, same guy, we ordered Chinese. And I remember like on Fridays, we would order Chinese. I remember that it would come out to like, God, we would order so much Chinese, it'd be like $120. It's just, man. So, this same guy, so my buddy, he's eating He orders I think it's like coconut shrimp or orange chicken. Maybe it was orange chicken. And he goes up into the employee break room to eat it. And he's sitting up there doing God knows what for God knows how long. Um, and he comes back, gets back to work. About a week and a half later, the same guy with his BO comes back around. He's kind of walking around and he's like, yeah, he's just kind of slumming, he's just scrounging. It's kind of what he does. He makes his way upstairs and I can hear him. He goes, "Hey, whose Chinese is this?" And I look around. It's a Chinese. Nobody had Chinese today. And he says, whose is this? This, by the way, this isn't in the fridge. It's just sitting out. So my friend who's an absolute slob left it out. It was from like the week before. And this dude goes, "Whose Chinese is this?" I don't know what you're talking about. It's not mine. And I remember, "Did you guys have Chinese?" And my friend says, "No." And he comes walking downstairs. He's got the little box. And he takes off back to his little shop where he's at in the back. And I remember, so I said, "Chinese." And my friend goes, who, by the way, was my employee. He says, he goes, "I think, Josh," he goes, "I think that's my Chinese from either last Friday or the Friday before." And I said, "What?" I said, "What was it?" And he goes, "You guys," and I'm telling you right now, it gets better or worse. He goes, "Yeah, I never threw it away. I just left it up there." And I said, "That's disgusting. Why did you do that?" He's like, "I don't know." And he goes, "But every day I'd go up there and I'd eat something else." He's like, "And I was like blowing my nose and I put a bunch of napkins on the top of it. I was like blowing my nose and I was putting the tissues in it." So I said, "There were tissues on top of it?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "We got to go tell him right now." I said, he can't. I said, "He cannot eat that." So we go back there and I tell this guy, I said, hey, buddy, you can't eat that Chinese, dude. It's been sitting up there for a week, possibly two. We're not even exactly sure. We're not even exactly sure what day. And he goes, "Huh? What do you mean?" I said, "It's old Chinese, dude. You can't eat it. You can't eat the old Chinese food, okay?" And he says, "Dude, there's so much sodium in this thing. When I heat it up, nothing's going to live." I said, "Okay, the hell is wrong with you?" And I just walked off. And he ate it. I saw him because I was peeking around the corner. I had a pair of binoculars. I really had to see if he was really going to eat it, and he did. Because I had to see it, and I had to see it. I just I was going, oh my God, he's eating it. And I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And I remember just telling like, dude, I'm seriously concerned. I'm seriously concerned about what you're doing. And he goes, dude, it's not a problem, man. He's all, I just had some moldy bread the other day. He's like, I just, I didn't get it all, but he's all, made me feel a little bit sick. And I said, dude, why do you live like this? You have a job. Like, I pay you plenty. Oh, man. That's just really, really odd. Yeah, I had a couple employees that ate out of the trash can, actually, come to think of it. Not proud of that. I did. There was another guy who ate Chinese out of the trash, just George Costanza style, but like this was actually in the trash in one of those little cartons, and it was disgusting. Yeah, it just is. You know him if you seen him. You could be like when you saw the dude, you'd be like, yeah, I could tell that guy drinks secondhand cream top milk and 2-week old Chinese, no doubt about it. You could peg him from a mile away. Just boy, oh boy, that was nuts. It's just unbelievable. It's one of the most disgusting things. But I laughed about it, and I still think about it and sometimes laugh. Yeah, you could smell him coming. Well, that was because he had BO, and he always rode his bike to work too, which didn't help matters any, especially on a rainy day. You just come in steaming. It was this bicycle shorts and weird helmet. I saw the same guy wear chaps when he was riding a motorcycle, which isn't uncommon, except I had never seen him ride a motorcycle or wear chaps in the 3 years that he had worked for me. One day he just shows up with chaps and a motorcycle. That's right. Chaps and a motorcycle. You guys have a good night. Thanks for being here. Thank you for all the super chats and super stickers and new members. Welcome. Yeah, that's right. Chaps and a motorcycle. Saw it for myself. I only saw him from the side. I don't know if he was bare-assed. But that also wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Probably. Yeah, sweaty chap guy. That's right. That's exactly what he was. So I am going to do a members only show. I think Saturday. It was going to be today, but we're changing that. Things happen. And I do love you guys, and thank you for being here and being supportive. if I don't see you tomorrow, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Take care.